Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Pelvic Health's very first Lunch and Learn. My name is Dr. Ali Beaulieu, and I am the founder and lead physical therapist of Pelvic Health. This is the first mini lecture in a series that we're starting called Lunch and Learn. The goal of this series is that when you're scrolling through your phone on your lunch break or later in the day, you can just take a couple of minutes to pause, listen in, and to learn something unique and possibly new about your body. So let's jump in. The first topic that we're going to cover in this series is all about the nervous system. I did a goofy video yesterday over the weekend that was to pique your interest and to just give you a brief overview, but I wanted to take a minute to dive a little bit deeper into what the nervous system does and how it impacts the pelvic floor specifically. So generally speaking, the nervous system is the signal that travels to and from our brain throughout our body to control sensation, movement, and regulatory actions of our body. As a visual, it's the little person in our brain that's controlling all of our movements, telling our body what to do and how to keep the system running smoothly. It's broken down into two main branches. That's the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. For the purpose of this video, we're talking specifically about the peripheral nervous system. Our peripheral nervous system is broken down further into two more branches called the somatic and the autonomic nervous system. Somatic is what we think of with our typical muscle and bone. So this controls voluntary movement, like flexing your bicep, moving your leg when you go to walk, picking up your child, things like that. Our pelvic floor does get a nerve supply from that somatic side of the nervous system, and this is why you can voluntarily contract and relax the pelvic floor. Think of like a Kegel when you're doing that squeeze or when you're working on relaxing. But of course, the thing that makes the pelvic floor so special and unique is that it also gets nerve supply from the other branch of the peripheral nervous system, which is the autonomic system. This system also has two branches, which is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is the one that we're probably a little bit more familiar with. This is that fight, flight, response, the fight or flight response, but we've actually added a third response in there, which is the freeze. So this is relevant because a lot of people are aware that they get really tense when they're stressed out. I have people tell me all the time, oh, I hold all my tension in my shoulders when I'm stressed. Well, this can be a result of that sympathetic nervous system being stimulated, and our body is going into that protective fight, flight, or freeze state. Stress responses that triggered this nervous system used to look a little bit more like running for our lives because we're being chased by a bear. Fortunately, this is not as common anymore. However, our bodies can still be very sensitive to that stress response, and in 2022, that might look like studying for an important test, caring for children or a sick family member, juggling unhealthy relationships with our body, our families, our partners, and living through a global pandemic. All of those can trigger that sympathetic nervous system and cause our body to have that protective response. In many cases, that can create tension in the pelvic floor. We always are aware that we're clenching our jaws or tensing up our shoulders, but a lot of the time that pelvic floor comes right along with it and is holding that tension as well. The other branch, we have sympathetic. The other one is the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is kind of like the counterbalance to that sympathetic. And this is rest and digest is an easy way to think about that. Now, this is all really important information because most muscles in the body just get their nerve signals from that somatic system. So again, that's that voluntary, moving our arms and legs, that type of control when it comes to actively relaxing muscles. So if you, if you injure another part of your body, another muscle, it's a little bit easier to have that voluntary control to tell that muscle to relax when we're recovering from an injury. But the pelvic floor signal gets signals from both. And what that means is that if we tell ourselves to relax, the pelvic floor might not be able to release all of the tension that it might be holding. From the somatic side, we're telling the pelvic floor voluntarily relax. So we're like, all right, pelvic floor, relax. And we might get a little bit of relaxation of the muscle, but that autonomic side might be being like, nope, no way, we're in danger, we need to protect this, we've got to hold the tension. So if we're only working to address our symptoms from the somatic side, we are probably not going to get all the way there. This is where the situation where we might have some temporary relief when we're working towards fixing our symptoms. But at the first sign of stress, if we are triggering that chronic tension response, that sympathetic side, our body might tense right back up. Symptoms can come back, and that's where we might start to feel like we're broken or that therapy didn't work for me. But that's just not the case. We just need to get a little bit more creative and work on it from both sides. So that's kind of a little recap on the nervous system and how it affects the pelvic floor. The goal is for this week that we touch base on some exercises, some mindfulness activities, and just some easy daily practices that can help you connect with the pelvic floor, begin to address the autonomic nervous system component of pelvic floor dysfunction by calming the sympathetic nervous system, stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, and beginning our journey to finding some pelvic peace. If you're following along and listening to this video and you're thinking, wow, yeah, that sounds a lot like me, a lot like what I have going on, please give me a call, send me a DM, email me, carrier pigeon, whatever, and let's schedule a free phone consultation to see if pelvic PT is the right fit for you. Last, I hope you enjoyed this first installment of Lunch and Learn, and that you continue to check in each Monday to work towards learning something new about your body, and working to be the most connected and in tune that you can be so that you can live a full and happy and healthy life. Thank you.